minutes.
There we go. I needed a.
Sure. I usually just follow the agenda here. And
No,
make my
I know,
own.
I just saw you opening that and I was like, I haven't told my way yet, so.
I think you have.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out on a rainy day. Before we start, I'd just like to acknowledge that we are meeting on ancestral Mi'kmaq territory and that we acknowledge that. We seem to have quorum, so I'll have a call to order. Could we have an appointment for secretary? Someone take the minutes.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just getting it set up.
Do we need to second that? No. There's no fight over taking minutes. Today. Declaration of conflict of interest is next on the agenda. If you're looking at this agenda and you see any conflict of interest that might arise, there being none, I guess I can declare there will be no conflict of interest on the agenda. Number 4, review and approval of the agenda. I'll have a chance to have a look at that. You want to add something or? No? I'll ask at the same time. Anything else? No? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Okay.
Okay. Brad? And seconder? Colleen? No one to the contrary? Motion approved. Adoption of May 18th minutes. You had a chance to read those, see any additions or things that need to be corrected?
There's just a thing at 9 when it said motion for adjournment. It said seconded by Karen Murchison Palmer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just a typo.
Yeah, obviously.
I noticed that too.
Yeah, it's a cut and paste thing, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it would be better to not have
Karen
it.
and I didn't
Yeah.
elope or anything.
You're not my type though, those little ones around there.
I don't think so.
We're on a break.
Next one's Karen Murchison,
Yes, not
Because I
Karen
think-
Murchison Palmer.
Maybe, I don't think Morgan was there, yeah.
Morgan wasn't even here, that's right.
No, it wasn't at the last meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can we have a motion to approve the minutes as amended to make those the corrections for the name on the adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
Seconder?
Yeah, second.
5 seconds. Any, well, are we all in favor? Okay. Motion approved. Items for discussion. We're back to the policies. We're going to be working on policies and reviews for a little bit. We did review some of the items last month. Any developments on any of these? We'll start with the first one for food waste. Did we add anything to what was done?
No, I don't think there was anything added, but there was the discussion of sort of, getting more information out. So I don't know what the process for that would be. I guess it would be speaking with somebody within the city to be able to like put a web page up to identify how, that composting at home is not illegal and it's okay to do and here's how to do it. Or
And then if we wanted to go further, the idea of education around like best before dates and all of that.
Yeah,
If we're gonna
yeah.
go, we may as well go big. Well,
yeah,
that's
exactly. Yeah,
my
yeah,
opinion,
yeah.
but
No, I
if
agree
the
with
city's
that
gonna
as well.
go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is the city gonna go? So what's the process to get something like that?
Me, really,
Yeah.
just me.
You.
Yeah.
Like, would we draft up something and then just send it to you and then you would run with it from there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would work.
Yeah.
I can build a web page, I can do the posts and that kind of thing. I would give some thought, like the website can go off whenever, obviously. I would give some thought as to like when you would want the messaging to go out, say if you were wanting it on social media, that kind of thing. Just because and I can give it some thought as well, kind of like summer doesn't tend to have, once we get past Canada Day, there's not really a ton of messaging going out, but
No.
it's also not necessarily an ideal time to be putting out messaging just because everybody's so busy in the summer. So fall is better in that way, but then things start to ramp up in the fall, so it's kind of a,
Yeah.
I feel like it could go during the food waste week.
I was
right?
wondering
Like,
about that,
I'm
too.
just feeling like, you know, we can take the summer to
Yes.
slowly build up,
Put it together.
build up some
Exactly.
content, and then it's
Yeah.
ready for publish and
Sure.
promotions. Would that make sense? Like
I think
that's
so.
that's a consistent thing now.
Yeah.
October, right?
yeah, I will be doing, I mean,
Yeah.
we'll be doing it. I will be here until
Yeah.
almost then, so I'll probably do that.
Okay. Yeah.
So is it the, would it, I guess, I am thinking of like the city's website as opposed to like posts on Facebook, but
I'm just, yeah, the website for sure, I'm just wondering.
Okay.
Like, you can
So
order
a little bit of a
it's there, right? And like
campaign
probably
too.
pull snippets.
Gotcha.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Like, hey, check
Yeah.
out the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in little
Here's some information,
pieces.
yeah.
Okay.
Are,
Yes.
is the city website bilingual or?
No.
No, okay.
What's
Is
the
it what?
status of the food waste?
Bilingual.
Oh,
Sorry?
okay.
What's the status of the food waste application?
You haven't heard anything?
You haven't heard anything yet?
No. It did, they took quite a while. With the first round, it took quite a while. I think submissions were end of November and we didn't hear until, I think it was well into February. So that would have been, it was probably 3 months.
Is this that federal program? Is this the?
It's the
fed-
provincial.
Oh,
climate
provincial.
challenge one. So when
Okay.
did I put that in? It would have been in May, so hopefully
Okay.
later this month or next month.
Okay, I'm just curious, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay.
And I did follow up with the environmental health officers just about packaging, and they were gonna check in about COVID restrictions, so, you know, that's something, again, I don't know that we'd be doing promotions in the summer, but just for the bring it piece, just seeing where they were at.
Yeah.
I haven't heard back. but
Okay, no.
They're obviously busy with other COVID things.
Yeah, totally.
So,
And definitely a good, like, I mean, we're not gonna touch that till fall no matter what, I don't think, so, but it would be nice to probably couple that in with Waste Week as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be very good.
For,
Yeah.
so,
That's
if
good.
possible.
Okay, so we have next steps for that would be.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can draft up something for the compost. There's, you know, like a few cities that have some good thing, I can just sort of, you know, more or less copy and paste from,
Yeah.
I mean, it's composting, it's not, doesn't need to be, but it's just essentially identifying that, you know, that we can, but then we do need to change that bylaw that essentially says that you're not really, that all compost has to be in an IWMC container, which you can compost not even in a container on your own property. And then, yeah, again, that's just like an oversight, but once we do get an opportunity to talk to the bylaw officer or generate some questions for the bylaw officer, although that's not really a question for the bylaw officer, it's more just a change that needs to be done in the bylaw for that specific one.
Yeah, I
Like-
wouldn't necessarily say that even, I mean, you could certainly ask him about it, but I don't really think it
No.
really impacts or
Yeah.
affects him very much. I think the process for something like that would be, I think it'll end up being a bit whiny, but I think what you would do is we'd put together a report
Yeah,
with the recommendation and the
Okay.
amendments, and then it would go to Environment and Sustainability Committee.
Yeah.
And the request of them would be to forward it on, I think we looked into it, and it was maybe police services that technically,
because it's under the nuisance bylaw.
yeah, and I think it's technically falls under police. So then the recommendation would be for Environment and Sustainability to forward the recommendation to police, and then police would review it, that standing committee. And then if they were comfortable, they would then forward it to council, the whole council, and then it would have to go through probably 2 readings.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be like 3-4 years from now.
Well,
There'll be a new
6
council.
months.
Yeah, okay, that's, yeah.
In reality, it'll be, I mean, maybe not 6, but probably at least 4.
Well, it seems like it's not contentious, so
No,
it's just doing the due diligence
Yeah.
and the.
But that would be really the
bureaucratic
first,
steps.
the first step would be
Okay.
putting together a
So-
bit of like a short report on why it's necessary, and what you want to change.
Have we, is there like a template or something?
Yeah,
like
and
that
I
for
can
the
send that. I
Okay.
can put that as an action item for me. I
Sure.
can send you the report template. Yeah.
report? Okay, perfect then, yeah.
And I can also talk to Ramona about when we can take it. So
Mhm.
there's a meeting, I guess, it'll be a week from today probably, but it might be a bit late to get it on that agenda, so it may be
Yeah,
the
sure.
following month, but.
Yeah, and then for the food waste stuff, it's just trying to coordinate better with bringing it to Charlottetown once that initiative gets back going.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
then, I don't know if there's any real reach out to, you know, like restaurants and stuff like that, but anyway, the Bring It to Charlottetown is a great initiative that I think the food council can definitely just help in any way that we can.
And I'll go through, similar to Brad, I'll go through some of the other city websites that I looked at and pull out some of the stuff around
Great.
preventing food from going into waste,
Exactly.
i.e. best before dates and a few of those perishability things.
Yeah, awesome. I think that'd be great. But, and again, we can sort of plug away at it.
Yeah,
Because Waste Week, I think last year was the last week in October, so I assume it would be the same, so.
that would be good. Okay.
Okay, thanks for the food waste committee. Next on the agenda is healthy food beverages in rec center.
Oh, I didn't know it was written like that, but yeah.
Yeah. If there's anything.
No updates right now. That committee hasn't met, but there's some exciting work going on at that level. It's just not food council bylaw level. I don't know if you saw, Maureen, but there's some grants for the facilities to apply, like small grants, so that they can start to implement some of these initiatives. Like if they don't have a blender, get a blender, and then, you know, then they can have it. So
Through the province or something? Through the
it's through
province?
recreation PDI right now. Yeah, but
That's awesome.
It's, yeah. trickled in
So
through
would
Armstrong,
like
so.
city facilities be eligible for that?
Yep, they've all been notified about, like all the facilities, it's gone out through Recreation PDI. But just at this point, there's nothing for Food Council right now. For that piece of policy, I think we need to make sure that the stakeholders feel like they've got the support and the buy-in before we start sort of going rogue on those policies. But again, that committee hasn't met since I've taken over the file.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next one is number 3, backyard food production. Karen Morgan.
Yeah, we haven't gotten a chance to get together either. And today being my last meeting, I did clean up what we've been working on and sent it to Katrina so she has it for sure in case we need to pass it on to somebody else. While Brad was talking about the social media stuff though, I almost feel like we're ready to pull the trigger on a Facebook polling question that we adapted. We just, again, we're kind of wondering about who needs to be kind of given the heads up before we start to do that. And so I missed last meeting and I didn't realize that we were supposed to send questions to the bylaw officer, which is, I think from our perspective, more of a heads up or more like if they're aware of anything that we should consider to let us know, but really to just let them know that we are gonna do some public polling on it and consult with some people. But yeah, not to make work for other people because I'm leaving, but I feel like almost like a communication strategy to roll it in the fall would be a really intelligent way to spend the next couple of months, just so that we're ready to, just that we're not sending all this random stuff for you to compile and then get out when your year will be ramping up as well, so.
Yeah.
But we are, we have that drafted already, so.
So you had the poll drafted. Sorry, I haven't
Yeah.
had a chance to take a look.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So, there's a Saanich, just like municipality in BC, Saanich, that did a simple 2-question poll, and so we just adapted it to make it 1 question, and so it's just a simple yes, no. In general, do you support, I think it's in general, do you support
I can't remember, I haven't looked at it in a while.
backyard poultry production? I just because I was cleaning up the document, but backyard poultry production in Charlottetown in single resident, kind of identifies
Yeah.
the lot
Yeah.
specifics, and just that's it,
Perfect.
just to get a feel.
Yeah, no, I think that's great.
So it would be interesting to,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think And when would you envision that going out, like in the fall or?
Well,
something?
similar to like I was just kind of making notes, so if food waste in October, like that's something that we could easily do in September.
Yeah, that'd be
When
great.
things, like you say, not nobody's, but there's less attention being paid for
Yeah.
sure on social media platforms, so.
Although it's interesting because we did, the summer before I started, just did a big plastic reduction survey. I don't know if any of you saw this, but it was like it's the most responses we've ever got on a survey, and it was done over the summer. I'm just remembering this.
Oh,
I guess from like backyard food production perspective, like
It might be.
you could capitalize on like the community gardens and stuff like that, like they're all
yeah,
probably.
you know, everyone's out in their
Yeah.
yards. It might
And a
be,
simple poll like that, it's not like, I mean, I'm always hesitant to like get people together or do work in the summer, but
But this
people
is
are
pretty
still
cut
on
and dry.
social media, they're not
Yeah.
like going,
yeah.
they're not.
Yeah.
And if it
not
is just,
engaging on
yeah.
social media.
And if you're not really having to work at a survey, because
Mhm.
there are a lot of surveys right now circulating through the food
Yeah.
world, and I mean,
And this is more, it's not
This
even
is
like stakeholders that are in the, it'd be
Yeah.
like anyone in the public, if you see it on social media, then
yeah.
They might just
Leave it, share
We can
it.
boost it, we can
Do
give
it.
it.
Yeah,
back.
exactly. And so it's just,
It might be a good one for like, just to kind of test the waters in terms of like how this all works. Like you said, like what are the mechanisms for the food council to kind of reach out to the public and gather that data back? Because it's just like a yes, no question.
Mhm.
But that being said, maybe like, I don't know if there's anyone in communications that would want to help you draft up some kind of statement about like a general use food council, we are exploring this topic. You know what I mean?
Like
By
to
that?
go with the poll.
absolutely,
To go
yeah,
ahead
so
of
it's,
the
so it's
poll,
not, yeah.
So that
it's-
people aren't like, whoa, what do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there's
like,
chickens coming, or?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree that
Yeah.
the food, no, totally. And I
like
mean,
something
in
something
reality-
general that we can all use with any policy question.
Interesting.
Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
by
just
that?
plug and play, if you
Yeah.
feel the different elements of it.
Yeah, in reality, it'll be me that does that, but I do need to have a conversation with communications about it, because this isn't something we've done before, and I personally don't see any reason why we couldn't, and then communications has been flexible, like they've been kind of letting, things are shifting and changing, and we're definitely trying new things, so I can see the potential
Yeah.
for it being received well.
Like in a sense, like the statement could be like, almost like like passing the buck, but being like, do you know what I mean? Like the food council is exploring.
This. Or the
Yeah.
food council wants to know, do you like the idea of taking rink fries out of the rec facilities, replacing them with smoothies? Just as a, like.
But like
like
some kind of like
preamble
preamble, like,
describing
yeah.
it, like,
preamble being like,
This-
just that
this.
this is who is
Yeah.
doing
And
this in
then-
the city council, just that the city
That's right.
councils
Yeah.
or whatever are not like,
Yeah.
who's
And then you
responsible
ask
for
the
this, you know
question.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It is, and
Yeah,
it can be
and
a
then
yes or no
ask
question,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I think that's smart. Just
Yeah.
like a little
But just-
disclaimer almost to
Yeah, like,
the
like-
council, it's
Collecting
exploring
information.
policy.
It's exploratory,
to improve the
yeah.
To
food
see if
system
they're
and
moving
looking at
in the right
public
direction in
input.
terms of their policy analyses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think that's smart, so I can, based on that, I think we almost have it there, but I
Yeah.
can kind of polish it up, but
Yeah.
I think when we're ready to go with that, I think first steps right now would probably, to have a conversation with them about what they're comfortable with, and then I also will ask Ramona, because I feel like it's a little bit of a gray area whether it needs to go to our committee or not. Kind of that strategy of like, we're gonna do this polling to consult with, I feel, it's like,
Well, I
I
mean,
think
the
it's a
reality
gray
is too,
area.
is that both Morgan and I are gonna be gone here very, very soon. Like, this is probably the last time you guys will see us, so.
Yeah.
I mean, this is gonna suddenly become someone
Not
else's
forever.
problem, right?
Well, we just
Or
really
activity.
hope to see that like.
I think we're talking
We've done-
about that later.
We've done a lot of groundwork on this, and we'd like to see it,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Move to the next
You know,
stage, so.
But at the same time,
So, I mean, like I said, the poll's ready. It's in the document that I sent you, so great. That's I mean, it's not really an update, but that's our.
that is, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that we could capitalize, now that I think about it, like, I think that would be a good, I mean, it's controversial for our first, like, coming out party about policy.
But we've
policy
we've
coming out
had
party.
social media presence for all community conversations in the fall. Like, I feel like it is an exploring the policy, but I know what you
It's just
mean,
the first one that we've identified as like a
Mhm.
pride, you know what I mean?
Totally. I
Like,
just
but
feel like
you can see how
have
people would
built a
perceive that,
presence,
yeah.
though, that it's
That's
not
Yeah.
gonna be like, who's the food council?
No, for sure,
Mm,
no, I
no.
just mean like from the policy
Yeah.
perspective, like from, you know.
But I mean, you
like
could
people
ask-
are like, well, why would you
That's
ask
the
that? You know what I mean?
composting question first.
You could ask a
Maybe
composting
concerns about
question.
backyard composting.
Yeah.
We're doing an exploratory.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then,
It's pretty non-controversial, just
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get the.
yeah,
You could add greenhouse to it.
and that greenhouse
Yeah.
and chickens, or,
Yeah.
you know, backyard lot, backyard.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a series that runs over a couple months and each one gets a couple weeks. and-
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know,
And
the
again,
winter,
like
we
the
talk about
community
rec
garden,
facilities.
the community garden platforms, like especially if we ask them to help us share those, I
Mm.
think you'd get like a lot of response.
I think so.
Because people are tuned in to,
Oh, there's a
Just
whole
stuff going
bunch
on,
of
you
stuff
know.
going on in the, like, I mean, we're very active in that.
yeah,
And those platforms are super.
yeah, so that might be a
Super
good focus for, yeah.
Is the city higher communications? You said they're, so they do that?
They're fully staffed, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anything else?
That's it.
I have nothing to add.
Thank you very much. Greenhouses, Phil and I haven't met yet. But did do some research and presented last month. I've not done anything else with it. I've been busy. I think it would be also trying to maybe put together a report and give, I'm not sure who that report will go to, so we can give an explanation as to maybe what's missing in the bylaws in regards to identifying what is a greenhouse, where it can be built, that there's just a lack of identifying how and where and what is a greenhouse in the bylaw.
And that's, like we talked about this last time, likely why that one from Holland College got rejected was because it's not clear. It doesn't say that it
There's too
can't.
many interpretations
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
not written,
Yeah,
Yes.
so you can just interpret the way you want.
and if you don't like it, then it's gonna be.
You find, there's a place in the bylaw that you can find that can say, you know,
Yeah.
there's no plastic walls, there's plastic roof structures,
Yeah, so
which are, you know, supposed to be those plastic garages, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
there needs to be a little more, there's more clarity.
clarity,
The
absolutely.
way it has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would follow the same process. Well, I guess there's a couple options, but it would follow the same process essentially. Like it would go to environment, something like that would go to environment sustainability and then get forwarded on to the appropriate committee, which in this case would probably, it would be planning, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
planning and heritage. And it's whatever, what format you would want to take it to them in. Like, I think we've talked about this before, but the most effective thing would probably be to send them a draft of what you're proposing. But if that's not something that there's the capacity or interest to do, you could also just send the recommendation that it be examined, but then it's out of your hands and it may not get examined once it gets to planning.
Okay, so you can either say, please examine this, or provide them with a policy.
Well, not, you wouldn't, it would
A
be an
suggestion
amendment
or-
to the existing bylaw is what it would be. So you would be altering language, probably borrowing from other municipalities that have done this and proposing that that be, you know, and you're gonna wanna, we would wanna do it in a way that doesn't step on toes, so it would be a suggestion or an example that,
I feel like that's some of the work that you've probably done already, Bernie, like, I mean, looking at different provinces and what they're doing, what they allow, like, it would be simple enough just to kind of
pull out a bit of
pull
language.
out some language that you like and
And
rather
maybe-
than like trying to draft our own,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, you can pull out the language you like, figure out where you think they should stick it, and sounds terrible. In the bylaw.
And you're worried how they're gonna take it.
Where to, yeah.
And then, you know, it just needs a little report to go with it to explain kind of why.
Good.
And yeah.
And I guess anything that we're amending or putting together on behalf of the food council, we're gonna have to get together and look at that and say, okay, yeah, that's ready to be sent.
Yeah, or an email circulation or
email.
something. Yeah. I
And
guess you
we'll-
probably need to vote to,
We're okay with just voting by email?
I think for the purpose of these, that's
Because I
fine.
don't think we don't have a policy regards to how we vote electronically.
I mean, we've gone through this whole process as a committee, so I think that it's okay, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like you and Phil have kind of met on your own and we haven't heard an update every month, so I think voting online is okay.
I think that in our current circumstance, that's become increasingly acceptable.
Yeah.
That's sort of a standard practice. I know with my organization, sometimes if it is a particularly sensitive issue, that we would vote online and then bring it back to our table and ratify it in person.
Yeah,
You know, sometimes things just have to get done by a certain deadline, there has to be a decision made.
exactly.
And, but if we want our, official minutes to reflect that decision, we'll bring it back and ratify it in a meeting in person.
So I don't need any motions or anything recorded, I've just got that we'll vote on
Just an action.
line, yeah, for
Put
those
the language,
recommendation
Put
reports.
something together in a report and send it back to
Yeah.
the council for more ratification amendment and approval.
And you have a template for that?
Yeah, I'm gonna send the template for the reports.
Do we do any kind of, or should we consider like some kind of like public update? Like for this like background stuff that we do? It'd be nice to do a bit of a like an annual roundup to kind of keep people in the loop for the stuff that happens behind. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
do the other councils that are similar in makeup, do they do anything like that?
no, not at all. I'm not sure people know they exist for the most part, to be honest.
I mean, exactly.
Like there's probably like
It's the
8
Youth
others,
Advisory
6 or 8
Council.
others. And
Active
yeah,
transportation.
no.
Okay.
We could create our own best practices, I like that idea.
But I'm wondering, I think there's a few options. You could do like your own little report, but you could also do like, for example, if you want to do this polling, we could do a PSA to announce that the polling's going to be done, and we could insert a little bit about like the policy review that's being done, the focus areas.
Yeah, how
that
we got
kind of
here to asking these
Um,
questions, yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Good idea.
So we have to report to the standing committee on what we've done on a yearly basis, according to the terms of reference.
Yes.
So maybe we could extrapolate from that in order to share with everybody.
Not anything complicated, I'm just thinking like for the last couple of meetings, like we've been doing all of this policy work and, but like, it's like we're like, it's tricky to balance like the public facing stuff with, it's still so important, we wanted it for so long, but now, I guess like, if we're doing, like, if we're going through the work, being like, we've sifted through all these things and like, we were going through the process of making a recommendation in order for bylaws to be changed or amended, you know what I mean? Like, not to specifically, like not to spell everything out, but I don't know, I think it's important for the public to know
Yeah, I think
what we're
so.
up to.
I think without the bylaws having been passed, it might, certain parts will need to be a little bit vague, but certainly kind of
Yeah,
identifying that these
definitely.
reviews are being done,
Sure.
that the sort of like priority areas are these, and then if, I would say though that you would want to couple with something public, so for example, the
polling.
polling.
That's a great
Yeah, I
idea.
think- I
That's a
think
really
that-
good idea.
I think that works
that's
really
the-
well.
That's the background.
Because
and
really, I
the
mean-
little blurb that I was thinking about earlier, that ties in really well with that. Just instead of like, what is it, like just throwing questions out seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because no one reads a report.
No, and I'm
You know what I
not
mean?
talking
Like,
about
yeah,
a report.
no
I'm
one's-
not talking about a report.
yeah,
I'm talking
but-
about like more so like reporting, but like very basic, like
Yeah.
broad strokes, updates.
Yeah.
But if you can engage people in that activity, then I think that's very impactful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or has potential to be very impactful.
Yep. The next item is, next steps, I guess we were doing next steps.
But I think we kind of did it as we went, yeah.
Yeah. Anything else to add with policy review updates before we move to the next item? Okay. Thanks everyone for your work in doing these reviews. We're hitting summer, so we're busy doing other things, so we're getting there. We're getting through this. The other item today is ending of member terms. I did not realize, Morgan, this was your last.
Surprise.
And-
I'm actually pregnant, that's
Yeah.
why.
okay.
I don't know if you noticed.
Oh my God.
I was just kidding. You're so weird. Yes,
Congratulations.
You're
thank you. I'm due in like a month, so,
Oh,
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
When we were trying to put the agenda together, I had to mention succession for board members, because I know some folks are leaving, I think in September or August.
It'll be August technically.
August.
Also, I do have one more meeting left then. Oh, okay.
You jumped the gun, I think, because Morgan's done.
I'm not pregnant. What? Don't I wish I was pregnant right now? I'm kidding, I'm
Really
kidding.
Don't even go there.
No, I'm not going there at all.
So it's not a surprise when people are leaving and then, oh, yeah, right, we have to find someone new. We're just like, well, who wants to volunteer and who's available? We can maybe start working months at a time to see like, hey, let's identify our skills, our strengths, our diversity, what can we, criterias. There's so many things that you can do in a succession planning to ensure that we have a right fit for members on the council and we get work done. I looked at the terms of reference. It just provides, you can do 2 years concurrent. You can do 4 years in a row, then you have to take 2 years off. You need to be present at so many meetings. It's limited for what we expect from members. So maybe, I guess my intent was just to open the floor to ideas from councillors to see what we might put in a succession plan. I know one thing that I've noticed is we don't have a lot of, we're not very inclusive.
Yeah,
A
that's.
53-year-old white Anglo-Saxon male is not very representative in today's environment. So we could be a little more inclusive with the members that we try and get. There's challenges in trying to get all representation, but if we work months beforehand, maybe we can. So it'd be creating a process to seek out future council members. Another would be maybe develop a council self-evaluation process, so we can, after the end of one term or after 1 year, we can just have a survey and identify, what did I do as a councillor? What went well? What could be improved upon? An exit interview with outgoing council members to see, like, well, how can we improve? What could we improve as a person's leaving the council? I'm sure there's a lot of other, if you Google it, I'm sure there'll be a lot of stuff that comes up. But I don't know if we want to have a short 10, 15-minute discussion on it. Do we think that's, does the council actually, do we want to spend some time on that? Do you think it's worth putting a paper together or a document together so we have something to go by going forward? Because it's not just us, it'll be other people after we serve on the council that will take over and continue the work.
So does the city have anything to say with it? Because the way that it was started was a very public solicitation, and I don't know how or who did the assessment.
It has to go to a standing committee, and then it goes to council for approval.
So it goes, there has to be a public call.
Okay.
But we can and that's true, but I think what's important is that we can target also who we like send it to from there. And who we sort of reach out to try and sort of get applicants.
Mm-hmm.
From there, it goes to like staff review. So it would be like myself and Ramona, usually maybe like one other reviewing and coming to a consensus on who the recommended applicants are. Then it goes to environment and sustainability, and then it goes to the council advisory committee. I know, and then it goes to city council. That's go through 3 committees.
Yeah, but it does go out public, and then And then internally, there'd be criteria, and maybe that's what this group establishes, is what are the gaps in the skill set
Yeah.
or other criteria
Yeah,
for right now.
yeah, and because I think they're not set, and I think it's basically left up to staff to kind of make those recommendations and the rationale for them, but I think certainly it would be very helpful to have, the council itself identify what the biggest gaps are and what skill sets are needed most and perspectives. And like who we reach out to.
Did we talk about this at strategic planning?
We did. Talked about it somewhere.
We definitely
I
talked
think
about
we
it.
did, but it was like one of the many things we discussed, but
Mm,
yeah,
no,
we
I
just
think-
never followed up on the
Maybe.
topic.
There's notes about it somewhere.
That's what I'm wondering, I was just looking at my
Yeah.
emails for any minutes, like, we've definitely talked about
We've had this
inclusivity
conversation.
and diversity before.
I mean, we
and how
maybe even
to-
talked about it like a year ago.
When we were getting new members, I think, like before Sheena and Brad joined, I think
That could
was
be,
one.
that could
Maybe,
be.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it is a really important piece, and I will acknowledge that a lot of the legwork that I did for the community conversations, I really pushed for that second session, uplifting BIPOC voices and acknowledging that we're producing food on unceded land, so let's uplift those voices. And that was the biggest thing that our BIPOC voices raised, was that, we really had one individual, and she wasn't involved in those meetings and the prep for that, right? It was kind of like me as a white woman just prepping all this stuff, and so I think it's really important to acknowledge that while also balancing that with tokenism. And I know that a lot of us wear a lot of hats in this room, and so that's why I think it's important to start this conversation now, because I know that the tables I sit at, it's pretty much all similar people. Like, we're updating it's almost like I could go from one meeting into another meeting oftentimes, and I'm sure that's the case for everyone in this room. And so just looking at members that have already been here, and then who we've got now, sort of thinking in that way, I think it's really key. And again, it's not about tokenism, it's about really ensuring that voices that are there that want to participate and are interested in participating, we give them that opportunity.
I think we also need to recognize that fundamentally this is a food council, so it needs to be someone or individuals that are somehow engaged in the food system in some capacity. So and
That's a requirement.
yeah, so more than beyond just as eaters, there need to be.
But yeah, because that was a bit of a challenge with the last round of applications. We didn't get a ton of applications, but we got like a decent amount. But and there was some level of diversity in the applications, but
The skills though.
there was a lack of skills,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
But I think we have that as a requirement. It's either in the term. Like,
Yeah,
It is,
yeah,
it is
and I think it is, but I just
But-
wanted to make sure that, like, that's one of those ways that we can certainly avoid
Like,
tokenism,
yeah, totally.
like, because I agree with you that that's really offensive.
Yeah.
So,
Do the people have to be a Charlottetown resident?
Technically, they either have to live or work in Charlottetown, and
I don't.
I know you don't, and I knew that, and
I know it's just reference.
I willingly ignored a policy for
Okay,
so that Morgan could stay on the council.
Really?
Yeah. But
Previous resident.
moving forward, I probably can't get away with that again.
Yeah.
So
And I think
yes.
that's important too, because oftentimes we get into conversations that are almost provincial wide, and like, yeah, in PEI, we work at the provincial level, but this council,
It's a community
we're
con-
using this community as models for things, or we're looking at
Yeah,
things within this city. So I think that helps with our scope too, making sure that that's the case. moving
Yeah.
forward.
Totally. And the other thing too that's like complicated, and actually, I mean, I didn't ignore a policy, but we had the conversation because it was sort of like the other, it's true of the other advisory boards. That's a policy for those advisory boards, but this council was created prior to that policy being made, and it doesn't make as much sense for this council, given how broad the food system is and like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
for example, a farmer
Yeah.
may not live or work in town, but they're so,
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
it's also something for discussion, like, maybe we can bring that forward for discussion as a policy that shouldn't apply to this council.
Yeah.
You know?
Because that's exactly what I was thinking, like there's the farms up at Scotchford and the young people that are
Yeah.
moving those farms forward, which would be a fabulous voice, but they don't meet that criteria. But then what producer does,
Exactly.
if they're, unless they're like hobby farm and work in the city, but.
I mean, you might be able
Yeah.
to make the argument, like, if their goods are sold in the city, like,
Yeah.
maybe you could make that argument. I think you probably could.
But
I
it might be
agree.
worthy to approach from the bigger pictures, like, really it doesn't make sense in this, for this council, because of these factors. And I think at one point we talked about, well, yeah, it's City of Charlottetown, but all of everything that we do as a provincial, it falls under the province, because the province is just so darn tiny, so.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
It impacts the province, I guess.
Yeah.
I would love to see that restriction removed, frankly, or just an exception to that
Yeah.
policy.
Yeah.
So when you're targeting as well, would it make sense to, focus on, the university and the college? I guess, because I don't really see a lot of youth again, in our, and there's a lot of diversity on those campuses
Yeah.
in terms of,
And
in many, many, many ways, so.
But also a lot of programs and like, that we could connect with that could help us reach the right students. Like that would be
Yeah.
a really good fit. They've
Yeah.
got food nutrition, they've got the Culinary Institute.
Yeah.
There's all these different
Environmental
programs.
The environmental studies.
Yeah, we could probably send it out to there's probably contact admin people or something that control an email list for each of those.
Yeah, and they have clubs and groups on those campuses as
Yeah.
well that are doing work,
Yeah.
with regards to food security.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, the folks that are reaching out to folks, that are doing sort of advocacy work on those campuses as well. There's a lot of youth advocacy
Yeah.
happening there as well. And I think if you could harness some of that and engage that here, I think that would be really.
Yeah, I actually got an email today from I can't remember, the vice president of something or other with the student union, and she's in charge of the food bank
Yeah.
at the university, and she was asking about the food council meetings and how she could watch and participate.
Yeah.
And so I did put a plug in with her of the application
Yeah.
for opening, and I would
Right.
and she said she was very interested, so that I would keep
Yeah.
her posted.
So how, is it 3 positions that are being replaced?
Well, if
Three.
2.
I have no idea when,
So
what
you-
life started.
Okay, so I figured this out today, so.
You were later than us. Phil would be the only one besides Morgan and I whose term would be.
And he applied for a 2-year term, so his isn't
So he has
up.
one more
He
year.
has one more year.
Yeah, mine's done
Yours is
as
both,
of January past, but yeah.
both, and we put you on the same like.
Yeah.
So you're now yours and Megan's 2 years are up, and if you're interested, you're eligible for another 2 years.
I'm gonna take a pass.
Yeah.
I'll come back, but
Yeah,
to spread.
that's fine.
Okay, so there are 3 then. You're
For sure,
taking
pass.
3.
I'm gonna step away
Okay.
for a period of time.
Okay.
She signed up for 2.
So yeah, Sheena and Brad are you're stuck here for another 2, or not here, another one
Another
for
one,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I need thought about my time, but yeah.
Yeah, like you want to give it some thought, is that what, yeah,
Yeah.
totally, that makes
Okay.
sense. So
I
at
think
least-
I'm a yes, I just.
yeah, but you don't, you've got time, take it.
Yeah.
I understand.
So there
Feel
are
your pain.
3 of us.
So for
then.
sure, 3
3
positions.
people.
So I would like also build, I know like our following is maybe not making assumptions, like maybe not the most diverse group, but we could also capitalize on kind of like that schedule of, and that increased communications through, like with our polling and stuff like that. And then post, like could we not?
It just depends when we kind of get that stuff out there, because
Because we're not gonna want a council with 3 members before that starts.
Well, we were talking about doing some of this summer
Yeah.
to capitalize on like the gardening clubs.
And in which case that works somewhat. We're gonna need to start this sooner than later, than just because of how long things take. So like in reality, the call needs to go out probably next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the polling could probably start next month.
Culinary organic farming.
Not a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great time. Let me look at the. It's just, it's tricky timing. Like culinary students, as an example, are done of school in a week. And they will be away on internships, although a lot of them are staying in PEI this year, unusually.
Yeah, and I mean, they don't have to be here
No, but they have to be here to like know it's
happening.
But when if we're,
But no, we can
and being
disseminate
like,
directly
and
to them.
being,
how do we disseminate directly to them though?
If we contact the school and the school sends it out, if they're still,
you can try that.
You can try that. Are they communicating with the school when they're away?
They're communicating with their
People check
internship
their
coordinator.
emails and
That's-
social media still, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who
some
might-
people
who
still
might be
check their
willing.
emails and social media though, like UPI.
College students, not so much.
People still use their UPI email like years
University is
after.
different than college.
I totally agree. I'm just saying that I feel like there's more ways to connect virtually with folks now than before.
Yeah, I just don't think the kids, I do know like in my own house, that the kids, when my kids who are students, don't read their school email unless there's a
Not
red
during
flag
summer.
beside it that says you need to do
Yeah,
something tomorrow.
I'm not saying the school email, I'm saying that
Yeah.
people use now that email as their personal.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, no question,
So
yeah.
it's not
yeah.
like,
But it just,
I think we can get creative with the ways we connect with people. I think if they're not here or the program's done, like, it's not to say we can't.
I'm just wondering if, like, if we wanna, in particular, like, identify youth as a target audience, then now is not a great time for that.
I hear what you're saying. We don't really have a lot of choice, I don't think, unless you have an idea. But unless we're gonna let 3 or more positions sit vacant for months.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of youth here that aren't necessarily in school, like they're young professionals
Yeah.
here, you know,
Yeah,
they're in
that's
their
true, yeah.
mid-20s and stuff, you just go to CBC there and,
I mean, I fit
Yeah.
into the definition of youth, so like, I'm not saying I check one box off, but like, there are young working professionals here.
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
Are in the food system.
It may not be the best time, but it's not insurmountable, it's not.
Yeah.
no, absolutely, yeah, yeah.
But it is worthy to think about, so in January of whatever the next year is, start putting it out to those colleges and universities.
If youth is one of those,
If
you know,
you want.
if is one of those individuals you were trying to attract. But I think that we have to move beyond just youth. I think that's one,
Yeah, it's an 8-person council and there'll be at least 3 positions, so you don't,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
what about like the Asian communities? Are there like associations or anything that we can,
The newcomers.
Newcomers
the
Association.
Newcomers Association, yeah?
Yeah,
'Cause
and
I
they're
mean-
representative of multiple ethnicities.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They've been great. I've been working with them quite a bit lately, getting things out, and I'm sure they.
Yeah, and I think, you know, and they're in constant communication with, you know, with the people that they're working with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I sent them something not long ago, and they got it out in e-newsletter and on social media the next day, so.
And I, you know, and one of the things, one of the communities that we talk about a lot, but we really like directly engage with are those that are living in food insecure households.
Lived experience.
I think we need to see some lived experience.
I agree, but how would you propose we target that population to try and recruit?
We could ask.
Facebook, I mean,
Well, we could also do something a little bit more specific, I think, if that's what we're looking for. Like Mike used to sit on council. So we could ask if he has any suggestions about, and then I would say, like, especially if you want to prioritize that type of population, making certain exemptions for the application process might be good. Like if he could like make a recommendation on someone that he thought would be a really strong addition, then maybe we help them with their application or we hear it in a different way.
Yeah.
Totally. Like just a conversation even.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's something worth considering.
I totally agree.
I just, yeah, I mean, that's something that's really missing. And it's been missing on all,
It's missing.
on many committees that I've sat on, and I think it's due time that we those voices need to be included.
And we can function as a 6-member committee. And if we don't have the diversity that we want right away because of timing and challenges, to allow for the other 1 or 2 seats to be developed so we have proper representation. So that's, we don't have to rush to try and get all 8 seats if the timing's not right.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I think it's important that, like you say, I think that you have the right people in the room versus just trying to hustle to get. I mean, because right now, I'm actually, I mean, the reality is I'm just a bum in the seat right now. I'm just riding out my time, quite frankly, really. I mean, I'm not, I don't feel like fully engaged anymore because my time is up, right? So I don't feel that like.
Right now.
Yeah, right now, yeah, absolutely, but prior to that, but so I think that you don't want someone, like me right now, sitting in the seat that's that's putting in time. You just
And
want
someone
someone.
new is gonna be there.
Absolutely, but but if they're hopefully,
Like,
but
they're
if,
gonna bring a new energy.
yeah, absolutely, I would hope so. But I think that if you just rush and hurry and try to just find a warm
Yeah.
body, then
I
think-
agree. I think we cannot function as 4 or 5.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
if I'm like, it's a balance. Like,
Yeah,
it's, again,
I
the
agree,
same with
I agree,
recruit.
yeah.
It's targeted recruitment, but it's not tokenism. It's filling the seats because we're talking about a lot of things happening August, September, October, and that's when the terms are up, and that's when we're needing bodies. So it's a balance of, I'm not comfortable with the committee functioning with less than 6 people in the interim. I'll vocalize that, but I'm absolutely comfortable waiting for those 1 to 2 spots if we were to need that.
Yeah.
Just a balance is important.
I agree 100%. I'm not.
So what can we be doing like right out of the
It's
gate?
just a lot of
Like,
work to do.
what's our move first? Like with the
Like, can we
With
start
the
approaching
agenda.
people that we know that may fit,
I mean,
And
you
then-
can give them a heads up it's coming.
say to reach out, or?
They can reach out to
Yeah.
me, or you
Okay.
can you can send me their contact or
Yeah.
what have you, and I can send out, once we launch the application, like portal or what have you, I can send it to a set email list that's been compiled for sure.
And there will be no changes with that portal, right, or the application
I
itself?
can't
Like,
really see
think
why. I
it's
changed it up a
pretty
bit last year
straightforward,
to
yeah.
simplify. It was like a little bit more complicated, and I
Okay.
remember I simplified it a little.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'll review it, of
Yeah.
course, but.
Because once that call goes, I remember seeing it on the Facebook page, and if we each individually share it,
Yeah.
we share it on the networks that we know, there's so many pages, groups, networks, and then we can look at some of the targeted pieces that we talked about. And if we don't hear from anyone, then we reevaluate what that targeted reach out looks like. It's something I have to do in my work all the time, is like mass communication and very targeted communication. Sometimes you don't hear, sometimes you do, and then it's re-targeting that out in a different way. So I think once we get that call out, and we think it should go next month, you're saying?
Well, I'm just thinking so I think technically last year what we did was that the terms, it went to like the September council meeting, I want to say, so, and it's the first Monday of the month, so it's like
Yeah.
early September. So that would mean, and then it would end up going to the August,
Right.
I'm just backtracking, talking out loud here.
Yeah.
But to the August sustainability, but then there's the council advisory. I'm gonna have to look at dates, but yes, it probably gotta go out next month to give us at least a little bit of wiggle room.
Would it
I
make
think it's fun.
sense?
We all have extensive networks and I can come up with like
Yeah.
a half dozen people that I could send it to or groups that I could send it to, and
Can we open it right away?
Yeah.
Because Morgan's gone next month.
Yeah, I
but
can
I mean, if
get
you
it
don't
open as soon as
release
I
it
can.
until the month after, send it to me anyway. Like send it to everybody that you think would be
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
have those connections. You know,
Mhm.
everybody wants to see a strong food council. So.
Yeah.
It is.
We all
I-
know
It's not hard.
Um,
Yeah, just to like forward it on and
That's
you know.
what we can
I can think of
I don't
like
know.
12 maybe in my head right now that I would
I can down.
say.
I
Oh,
can't necessarily.
for,
I
like-
don't think I have have anybody in mind.
Well,
but
I don't have
certainly,
anybody in
like,
mind.
help with those connections to like the
Right.
UEI and all.
I mean, you talked about Breslin, you know, from,
Yeah.
and
Sending it out to
Like if we
the-
could-
Breslin would be a wonderful addition. I don't know that he would do this though.
Yeah, no,
He
and that's-
used to.
that's
Yeah,
true.
no,
For
but
sure.
he is wanting to be
think-
more engaged in this stuff now, actually.
Hmm.
He actually participated, I don't think he watched that one, but he participated in the second community conversation.
But,
I let him sort of say,
but,
you don't have to.
but
if
yeah,
you
I
don't
think
want
probably
to."
I'm in
I
the
don't
middle
know
of
if
my
he was
week right now,
keen
which is
and
like
wanting to
weekend,
full time.
but
Is
once
there,
it's over,
was there some
I
kind
will have more
of
time to
like
think about
participants?
things and we can try and.
Yeah, we've
list
got all
from-
the data, yeah.
But like in particular from that one session?
Yeah.
That would be, I think that would target those
Yeah.
participants. There you go, there you go.
Interested people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like, I
Yeah, I
don't think
know.
we're gonna have the
I think
issue,
we'll
like,
do that.
I think.
You know, I think
it's
Claire would be a
not-
lovely
We're
addition
a lot
too, you know,
more
I mean.
well-known.
I
Yeah.
think it's not gonna feel like a rush, like, I know what you're saying,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
don't think it's gonna feel like a rush because, I mean, the community is out there, we know what networks
Yeah,
to
no, you're
share.
absolutely right
We were
about
just saying,
that.
we've also got all this data from the conversations, the participant lists, specifically that one, the second one, right? Like everyone that attended the BIPOC conversations, and if we talk about the city limits, you know, like Tara Reeves technically has clients in Charlottetown, so is that working in Charlottetown? Or Breslin is at Avalwood First Nation, but, you know, they do catering, stuff, like, we
Yeah,
can extend
I
that
think,
to what.
and it's
yeah.
a policy, and
Yeah.
it's,
Oh, but you could argue
you
that.
can
think-
argue things different ways, exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think-
I mean, if it's unceded territory, then it's unceded territory. There are no borders.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
No,
reality,
absolutely.
really, seriously,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
So I think there's an argument to be made if there's a, like, if we can make
Yeah.
that argument, you know what I mean? Like
What
if
is this
we,
policy?
it's
Where
the,
is it
I think it's in the terms of reference that you have to.
It's
no,
not.
it's
No, it's
not
not in our
it's
terms
not
of
in
reference,
It's
no.
in the
Oh.
something advisory board,
I
something
remember
or
reading it
policy.
somewhere.
Yeah.
No, that's fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look that. I can find it. It's basically a
I'd love to see
policy
that.
that guides how we do
He
advisory
was
boards.
really,
He's such a key.
well, I've been working with him for a few years and he wasn't interested in this, like, you know, speaking up more, but at the conversation, he was like wanting to just be involved more in that way, and it made me really
Yeah.
proud of him, yeah.
Yeah. He spoke at our Acorn conference about 3 years ago. It was kind of his first sort of big speaking engagement, and it was, he was brilliant, really, like, you know, he was so, yeah, he was just so confident, wasn't he? You know, he was just so,
It's weird because of the fact we're made before the others. There's
he
like
is,
this
he's a really
piece that-
nice kid, I know. He checks a lot of boxes for us, you know.
I hate that one.
That means.
Sorry, I like.
I can't find it right now, but I can.
I know, but you know what? I just sat in a meeting where we talked about checking boxes on a whole bunch of other things that I hated too, so yes, I should spread up. Fair enough.
The public appointment.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I know, but
I'm trying to rid people of that language when we're talking about grievance.
Be a competent
Yeah.
council member,
Yeah.
bringing much experience to the table.
Thank you, Colleen.
So,
Okay, everybody get off that and let's move on.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
remember,
Oh, I won't.
remember what we talked about for the inclusivity kind of, I think what we wanted to do in the end was to make a recommendation for like a citywide review of some kind in which we pay like a diversity firm of some kind to evaluate or like make some kind of
That,
inclusivity,
that
because we were like,
strategic planning, yeah.
yeah, because we were like,
That's right.
why would we write an inclusivity
Yeah.
policy?
Because we don't
You know what I mean?
understand.
Like, we don't have the expertise and, do you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Do you remember that conversation now?
I've had this conversation with multiple people at multiple
Yeah.
occurrences. I don't know if I remember this particular one, but
That's all right,
Yeah, as long as it's in there.
As long as it's in there, yeah.
Yeah.
I think personally that that's a better way to go, rather than like kind of trying to self-evaluate and like
like you
with the faces
want
around
a
the table.
policy for the advisory boards with regards to diversity. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or even in kind of the recruiting,
For the city in general?
Yeah,
I mean, that's like I would love to see that happen. I think that there's talk and it's slow and.
yeah, for sure.
But-
If
and it
there's
definitely
anything
falls
that we
under
can like
HR
like help
department.
out.
But I think if you could use the advisory councils as an example of how to do that. I mean, because this is what we're struggling with this, right? We have a question, we need supports. Could this be sort of that testing space for how to,
include those.
how to, honestly, be inclusive
Yeah.
and truly be inclusive. And then, so you use that as a sort of a testing or a test for.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, it might be a bit of a time crunch, but I think there's some people that even if we just, I don't know that it would like cost much, but to consult with, potentially even on this process.
I think that would be.
That's like, I think you can do two things at once. I think you can kind of look at that as like your more like a medium-term goal, like say like a year, like in time for the next round of people to be doing the switchover. And in the meantime, we can use this kind of informal, like let's identify different community groups and email it out, for right now, because you're right, we do need to fill the seats.
Yeah.
But I think to Bernie's point, like we are coming up again where
There were going to be.
we're kind of caught with our pants down in a sense, because we think that we have time, and then we're like, oh, right, we give it back.
Yeah, because it'll be the
3
same
months,
thing, right? Yeah. If it
Yeah.
takes, if there's this
Yeah.
process that takes so much time that, so it's probably a good thing to be soon engaging with someone who has some inclusivity expertise
Yeah.
to sort of guide this discussion for us, for the
I mean, and
council.
there might be somebody that we could hire for a couple of hours just to review and provide recommendations on what we're proposing or something.
I think it would be a great use of like I know the funds changed for this council, and how they operate, but like even to like coordinate with the other councils
Yeah.
and kind of come together and say this is a priority. That would be very cool.
And I think, they just did their call a little while ago. I know they filled a bunch of seats on other council, like advisory boards. Like it's strange because all the other advisory boards kind of operate together. Like it's like they all were started at the same time, so like member terms end at the same time. So like it just, whereas you guys were before, so everything's just like a little different with this council. Even in fact, it's called a council rather than an advisory board. But I think that something like this could potentially set like an interesting precedent for the next time that they have to do it or something.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, it also like even if they just all filled the seats, like it's just looking ahead. Because it would take time and it would take funding.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how much funding, like.
No, I just
in
need
this
someone to develop it.
process.
I don't think
No,
it'd be
yeah,
crazy.
it wouldn't be
But I think
crazy.
it'd be important to pay someone.
And hire
We
someone
don't
with that
have
expertise.
Yeah, 'cause we don't have that.
they're.
No, but
And again, it's like, it's something that we've identified as like, we would love to see that change here, but really it's important to see it.
But sometimes if you
Across.
can like do something small, you show people what's possible and how we've
Yeah.
done it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I just,
That's what we talked about.
the diversity consultant for the public school board, just met her last night.
Evelyn,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Evelyn,
she's in our community garden.
yeah.
There you go.
She's great, yeah.
Yeah, and so, that's her area of expertise,
Yeah.
I'm sure and she's building a business, I'm sure she would love to come in and
Do you
offer
want
some.
to send that contact or something?
I will, yeah.
So would that be an action item from this, is to get that diversity analysis and recommendation process underway with
Yeah.
the intention that next year, in January, it would be ready or something? to
Ready so that, for the next round of.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
It would start earlier.
Yeah, I think that would be, and then it might be a process that other advisory boards could definitely
Yeah.
use.
And I
Could be a
think,
more generic.
Yeah.
yeah, put it in the minutes, but like make the action,
So create a term of reference for.
like, just even to have, for me to start having these conversations, because it is like a slightly.
I called it a process.
Yeah, to start the process, and because I think the start of the process is just starting to toe the waters of what kind of reception it's gonna get.
She is patient.
As a council, we can agree. As a council, we can engage in something like this.
I don't know. That's what I don't know.
What?
as a council, we can only do something else.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we want to scope out what is it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So we just need like whoever Evelyn and, you know, my partner Jill works for PI Women's Network, and they just went through 3 days of various
Yeah.
reflection on identifying your subconscious or unconscious biases. And there was just a full array of different workshops. You know, what Morgan was saying is it'd be good for us to do something like that for, you know.
No, sorry, I'm completely agreeing with you.
Okay.
I'm
It's
shaking
like
my
the-
head, but what I mean is
It's
this.
like the Canadian
But at the
I
same,
agree.
but at the same, yeah, exactly.
But-
But at the same time, like, does it really make sense for this little small group to
Yeah.
be doing that? Maybe we should be coordinating it across like the advisory boards, the food, like whatever.
Yeah. like
Whatever
that's-
our group
That's a
is.
city, that's a
And then
city.
because
and then
that's
it's
like a
8
nice-
months
that's a
to get
nice-
through
It's a
the
good
city.
recommendation to take to the city, not our, I don't know that it's
not
our
just,
work
yeah.
Yeah,
at this point.
I think it
We
makes
could do
sense.
both. I
Yeah.
think we could do something here for this, because we can do it fairly quickly. We can engage in it. We send it to the city as a recommendation, it'll be 8 months. Potentially. If,
I don't know,
Certain-
I feel like
certain
a small group of people that are already interested in this type of thing, chances are we've sought out different educational opportunities that are similar. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like,
I agree. I think though that there's no end to the learning, right? Like any.
no,
yeah.
but what I'm saying is that like, if we're gonna, like there's limited time and budgets and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and so like, I think it makes more sense to like capture that type of opportunity in coordination with other groups.
Yeah.
So
And
we're
it
not
is-
just like learning, kind of just like reaffirming what we're trying to do right now. Do you
But
know what I
is there
mean?
are there any limitations to us just saying we're doing this and inviting all other, like we're setting the precedent as the food council? You know what I mean? Like,
Only if people know about it.
but
Well, you're welcome to do whatever you like in that regard, but if you want city funds to pay for something, then people have to know about it. You have to get, like, there's permissions that need to be granted.
No, I mean like that's the whole.
That's the whole
kind of
point, that's the whole point. Like,
We
it has
want
to be-
people to know.
It
We
has to
want
be
it
an
to be
organizational
organization.
effort, it can't just be a small advisory council effort, I guess, is what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you know, again, if I were gonna do this in my work, it would be the organization that would
Yeah.
be, so it would be the full organization that would be undertaking to do the work, not just
yeah.
a small handful of us,
Yeah.
or a group, a small handful of volunteers. It would have to be the entire organization, it would have to, the opportunity to participate in it, because it would be an effort to level up your organization,
Agreed.
right?
So
I almost feel like the action is to be like I don't think it's anything official, it's just like, Katrina, will you go to the sustainability committee and say, the food council is requesting this type of
Yeah.
training, intervention,
So I guess,
review?
Well, I think what we're looking for is a diversity analysis, so that, or a process, create like a diversity process to be created, so that when we go to replace members, that we can do so in a way that is fully inclusive, or
Yeah.
reasonably fully inclusive. I mean, 'cause what's fully, right, that's 100%. And that we use that example, that process that we develop ourselves as a process that can be used by other advisory councils that are operated by the city. That's what I'm understanding we're.
yeah.
Is that-
Yeah. I think so, I think. that's
And
what
then
I'm
if we
hearing.
wanted to do diversity training,
Then
I
that
think,
becomes.
then I think that becomes a much bigger,
And I think to be totally frank on that,
Yeah.
as much as I absolutely love the idea, I think it's outside the scope of this.
I agree with you. I think that's more of a city,
Yeah,
a bigger city sort of effort to, if the city wants to be seen as being fully inclusive, they need to undertake to do that
agreed.
And I think they
diversity
should.
training.
Come on, health and wellness. He called me recently, but
Yeah.
you know, something like that for city staff. There's
Yeah.
any new hire. There should be annual things like this in every organization. There should be an orientation process, but we know that process is getting away with all this stuff, and people
Progress
talk about it, and then
sometimes,
nothing
yeah.
happens. But maybe this is the impetus for that, for like them
I think it's-
saying
yeah.
city staff are doing this, and advisory boards are invited to do this training
Yeah,
alongside the
absolutely.
city.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
At
I
this
think
time, the
that's-
city does it.
Yeah, I
It would
think
be-
that's how that-
absolutely makes sense. to
that's
do
how you
advisory
tackle it.
boards, But,
But I think that we just need to be able to create an inclusive process
Yeah.
to engage people in this council, to get people to participate in this council.
yeah,
And then for other councils to use that same process to do the same.
and offer it to them. You know,
Offer-
like
yeah,
you
offer
this
those other-
council and you offer it to.
Yeah, absolutely. Offer to the other advisory boards.
Yeah.
So what is that process? That was,
I mean, we don't.
We don't know. I mean, that's what we'll get
have
Evelyn to
process.
do, come in and develop that process.
okay, so, okay, I'm just, I'm trying to
So I have
So-
right
figure out where
here,
we are in the circle.
Go ahead.
no, I just have as an action, begin diversity and inclusion analysis recommendation process, so that ready for the next round of applications and a process that other advisory boards can follow. I'm gonna put this could include contacting, someone like Evelyn.
Yeah, I can find out her name here.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine. I just like, I think I just, yeah, it's fine.
Well, there's hesitation. Let's not.
No, there's some conversations that need to be had just to
Are we reaching out, but we're
figure, like, no,
we're
we,
doing it for ourselves?
we
and it'd
can't.
be nice for everybody else to do it, because we see the importance in it. But I don't know if we need to put that, hopefully all the other advisory councils will follow, or
Yeah, I think we can just say, here's this model, use it
Yeah,
next
they-
time you hire, or.
Yeah, or.
to be part of our policy advisory?
What?
Seek candidates
Yes,
Would that be
for
part of
your
our-
advisory board.
Would that be part of our policies, like advisory? Part?
I think Katrina's point is that it's not up to us to change those.
And,
That's right.
yeah. We can make recommendations. I can seek approval for us to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
But
you're
it's
saying,
not
are
really-
you talking about what I've written or the process? I'm confused, because I can change the words.
No, I'm talking about the process
No,
as
she's
a
talking
whole.
about, yeah.
Like I'm saying I get you guys
Yeah.
gung ho, I'm gung ho too.
Yeah.
I want it to happen, but it's not.
Bureaucracy.
It's really not in any protected way something you're able
That we
to
can,
do.
that's not a decision we can make.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But what you're saying is we can make the suggestion, so is there anything that we can do to build a case?
I don't think you
Can
need to,
we
I
get-
think you've got the case. I think that the
Okay.
council
Yeah.
has been shown as of late that
Mhm.
diversity and inclusion is incredibly important. And
Okay.
so I don't think that a huge case needs to be made, but I do think that I have to have a few conversations because it's just something new
Yeah.
and I don't know how it
Yeah.
works. And
Okay,
That's, yeah,
That's great. That's very
we'll leave
understandable.
it in your capable hands.
we'll leave it to you.
Capable diplomatic hands.
Oh, there's something.
So is, like, at the end of the day here, so this is an underlying or overarching process, however you look at it, but the idea that the application will be opened up sort of in the near future, and
Yeah.
then we will all distribute that.
Absolutely,
Is still
yeah.
on board,
Mhm.
so that we're gonna get.
And using our
applications.
own sort of inclusivity lens at this point,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we don't have anything formal.
Yeah.
And that's the best we can do.
It's the
right
best we can do
Yeah.
at the time, right
And
now.
it may honestly be something, like the more I think about it, that gets completely taken outside of this council and
Yes.
becomes like a recommendation that's made to, not that the food council couldn't be referenced, I mean, it's your idea, but just a formal like a request for a formal recommendation to be made to do this or
That would
something.
be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care about us, I like, that would be.
So
great.
I've got to have the conversation.
So another action item I have is that the application public call out to go out next month, question mark?
Certainly by next month, maybe,
Okay.
I'll see. My week has been like absolute
yeah.
mayhem and,
That's okay.
Yeah.
so I don't have like
I just
a lot of
didn't know if
extra
I caught
attention,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe we can aim for the end of this month, but
Okay, I'll put next month to
Yeah.
give you some wiggle room, because that's what I thought I heard, but I wanted to confirm that.
yeah, sometime
And-
probably early July at the
Okay.
latest.
So
And-
Evelyn Bradley is her name. Just as, oh, sorry.
No, that's, go ahead. I was just gonna finish that.
Oh my
Okay,
God, I'm
so
so sorry, I just got so
And
excited.
council members to distribute among their own
I'm
networks.
sorry.
Is that a reasonable action item for that whole
Yes,
discussion?
great,
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead, sorry.
I found Evelyn's name, sorry, it's Evelyn Bradley. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
You're gonna kill me tonight.
No, I would never.
Well, no, you're not gonna kill me, I hope, but.
I'm more fiery red tonight, that's all. People don't really ever see that.
Well, I jumped the gun here, did.
I think she has her own
She does,
consulting company.
she does have her own consulting.
And it's,
I don't know the name.
Well, it's Bradley Consulting is
Oh, is
one.
it?
Beyond the Brim.
Yes, Beyond the Brim, that's the one, thank you. Perfect. There we go.
Agreed.
So the next meeting, we're gonna mix up the girls and the boys, not all the boys
Yeah,
on the list.
exactly, yeah.
Not like a great seventh
Segregation.
birthday party.
Part of our
One
diversity.
action item too, could I just, so, or maybe right now, membership, so have we confirmed who is where? Like Sheena and Brad,
Have
they're
one.
1 year in,
Mhm.
right? But and I understand that Phil,
Yeah.
Karen and Morgan and Bernie are, like, I'm just confused about where,
No,
Phil signed
Phil
up for 2
renewed
years.
for 2 years.
2 years.
Right, Karen and I renewed for 1 year.
Right.
But I'm leaving
Yeah,
2 months
no.
early.
yep,
Yeah.
And I'm leaving in,
And
I have,
you
I have
only
one more
renewed for
meeting.
1
I
year.
have one more meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
and you renewed for 2 years,
Yep.
that's true, yeah. I just,
I feel like there's a schedule somewhere. I haven't been able to access the Google Drive folder in a
Oh,
while,
okay.
but I feel like there's a schedule there somewhere.
I'm not sure. I have a schedule. I don't know. Maybe I put it in there.
and Colleen.
I don't know, to be honest.
Colleen and I, we didn't have.
We're all a
to renew
little fiery here
because-
today, aren't we?
Or did you renew?
I'm
in
just
January of next.
Coming off a couple of weeks of.
Yeah, I came in about the same
Yeah.
time. We, like, my first meeting was December.
It could be there.
It could be. It really could
Sorry,
be.
you were a little later that fall.
Sounds like
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm really with you.
Some
Like, I'm not-
reasons I can't
There's no
recall.
judgment.
Thank you.
No,
But
oh my
we
God, no,
didn't
I'm just
need
trying to.
renew, Therefore, because we're
Helpful.
at 2 years.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
just
this
have 2
summer.
years now.
I,
Yeah,
So we don't
yeah,
have
and
to,
I
like,
just,
Go through
I
emails.
just can't.
No, I just am trying to figure out the schedule. But I understand it now.
You
Like,
do? Okay.
Yeah, because I couldn't remember, we joined in 2019, that's
yeah,
why.
so we
It
kind of
was
just like
Yes.
set offset yours, and then we bumped it up, so
Yeah.
there was a few
And we
months there.
discussed that
but-
last year, I just
Yeah.
couldn't quite remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's as if you two are coming to the end of a 2-year term.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. I think I got all of that captured, I don't really know.
It's a little circular.
And send it out, then we'll have a look and see
Yeah.
where it is, where it is. Okay, so then I guess we'll, hopefully this will be able to go out in the next month, a call, and then we can all use our connections and stuff to try and
That application form, it's not currently live, is that?
No.
No, okay.
we'll try to get as much inclusivity as we can in the next few months.
Mhm.
There's new business, anything to add? That you wanted to bring up?
Something that did occur to me as well is with just to go back to it might be worth going back to the strategic planning, because I remember we talked about like there was a bit of a timeline that we had outlined, and I remember something about like some kind of like public forums in the fall. I think revisiting that would be a good idea.
I have it here.
Oh, okay.
Conversations with general public. So we had long-term and short-term. So the short-term strategic priority was municipal bylaw review, about 20 months. And then the short-term was town halls, conversations on food policy the next 12 months. I guess that'd be the short-term one. So the town hall conversation and policy town hall conversation on food policy, conversations with general public, aim for 3 to 4 by the winter of 2022.
Yeah.
And then key messages and feedback on what policies should be reviewed and amended.
Yeah.
And then we had stakeholder meetings, one presentation 20 to 30 minutes by food council members, And then stakeholder organization, just an additional platform to share the messaging.
Yeah, like all of those things need to be done in person,
Yeah.
so we just gotta wait.
But I feel like we're there, man. Like, I think that the planning, like, not necessarily over the summer, but by the time September, October rolls around, like, it can be time
Yeah.
to think
Yeah,
about
we're
these
here.
things, you know?
We're here.
We can start moving forward on those things. for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So,
So there could be some
I was thinking about that
happening
earlier,
next week.
listening to the vaccination
Yeah.
rollout, like, it seems like there's like music festivals that are being planned, like,
Yeah.
so.
Fall flavors. It's happening.
Yeah.
fall
I
flavors.
agree, I've noted it as an action item. I personally don't, like, I feel like we're all on the same page. That's something different than the summer polls, right? That would
Oh my
not.
God,
Oh,
yes.
absolutely.
Oh my God,
yeah,
And
yeah.
yes.
I'm
But
coming
just
back,
thinking
yeah,
ahead.
I think I'm just coming back to my earlier point, like we're down 3 really insightful, hardworking members come that time. So I think it will be a matter of having members in place before we do a lot of that work, recognizing how much time it was. for
Yeah,
one
that-
person.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, very good for, that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
But like
Not
from a
forgetting
recruit-
it,
From a
yeah.
recruitment
Yeah.
perspective,
Yeah.
to have something like exciting for people to take ownership on
Exactly.
right out of the gate.
And jumping right into
And
it.
jump right into doing something in particular, if there's like flexibility for them to
Yeah.
take on like a certain topic of interest, that could be really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe a way to pitch it to people, you know what I mean?
I'm just thinking, like, with the launching of the application, if there could be a PSA sort of thing, I'm thinking CBC, but, and sort of talking about some of those initiatives, kind of to your point, of here's the cool stuff that's going on. It may not sound all that cool when you fill out the form, but here's the stuff that you could be involved in and help forward. Like, that would be a great way. to
Like
promote
almost
it.
like a little recap, but then
Yeah.
also like moving forward, we identified these,
Yeah.
you know, like post-COVID,
And really
let's talk
short.
about some fun
Yeah.
things that that we thought would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
That's
really
a great idea, doing like, getting some press around it.
Yeah.
Well, we would do a PSA no matter what, but often it's very like,
Oh, I was thinking that the morning call-in, that's what I'm imagining. Like,
Okay.
one of these
Yeah.
happy voices,
Yeah.
any of these happy
who
voices.
likes mornings?
I've done that call before.
I've done
and
it.
like,
Yes, it's really awkward.
That's so awkward. And then,
But
it is,
so
I-
many people.
So
The reach is amazing.
Oh,
It's
it's
amazing.
true. But if he asks you a question that you're like, oh, yeah.
Call in, it's like Tuesday afternoon when he's not on the phone,
Yes.
and just have your script.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when it's just like you leave.
When you just leave a voicemail.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
voicemail is key, the live one is.
No,
Yeah.
it's
It's
good.
good. What you said, and they call you and say, hey, can you be on the morning show?
That's right.
Is there any
And that's
restriction
okay
from the
too,
city
yeah.
for doing something like that?
Probably not, no. That's something we've done at times, and it can just be kind of rolled into the communications plan for the rollout of the applications. I don't see why we couldn't do that.
So if you want to have a voice other than your own voice, you just call out.
Sounds great.
I think I'm on holidays, but no.
Okay.
I'm taking
can't
on
do it. I tend to be
volunteer
roped
to
to
everyone
all those
else.
things around.
Clever.
here.
Clever move.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, nice move there, Colleen.
What's that?
Good idea.
Yeah, nice move. Brilliant.
No, but the reach is amazing.
It
It is.
Like,
incredible.
it really
It
is.
is.
Is it
No,
ever
you're
like
right.
6 a.m.?
No,
It's
no,
after,
it's just like,
8
just
o'clock.
before
Yeah.
8, just
It's
after.
like, it's like
okay,
on
that
everybody's
makes
drive in to Charlotte.
Right.
Yeah.
You're getting ready for work.
Yeah,
at
somebody's-
home,
Or you're in your car with your,
Yeah. City
Does it show
Cinema,
on
they
the radio?
advertise the upcoming
Yeah,
movie,
CBC
and then they play it
morning
at various
show.
times in the day even.
Island Morning.
Fill in like 30
You're
seconds.
not-
On
I
Tuesdays.
do not listen to radio.
Yeah, and then just on Tuesday mornings, they do just a, like a roundup of all the different activities. Like you
Yeah.
call in and say,
Yeah,
this is
I
what's
mean,
happening this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
One time.
We're having a yard sale, it's a fundraiser for the,
Bake sale.
Yeah.
Someone said they
Right.
would lobster dinner takeout at.
I've done it, so it's really
Yeah.
awkward, but.
dog exercise.
It works.
thing,
It works.
You know, whatever.
It's free press.
It's
And it's
free.
free.
Free advertising.
Free advertising.
But it has to be a community event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or the CFCY.
Yeah.
CFC one.
I just wrote all those things down, like using this as an incentive of what they could look forward to as council members.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Give them a bit more tangible idea.
Anything else from business?
No.
I really like that though, the revisiting the strap line, so I've got that as an action.
Yeah.
I just like that timeline. I'm a planner, so I was like excited about the timeline, you know?
You could maybe resend the strategic priority document.
That's a good idea,
Just as a
yeah.
refresher what it is. and-
Exactly, I think that's. We should do that, we should do that fairly regularly, like every quarter you should, that should
Yeah.
kind of get out in front of our eyes.
Where are we?
Yeah, just sort of as a check-in,
Yeah.
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 That's a really good idea.
That's fun.
But we'd like to thank Morgan for all the
Yeah.
good work and
Thank
time
you.
you put in.
It's been a blast.
Yeah, we've seen your two babies grow.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the council.
You've been here 2 babies long.
I've been here 2
Two
days.
babies long.
Almost 2 days.
Wow.
Almost 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been
That's
such
a,
a huge
that's a
asset.
pretty good term.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Thank you for,
Thank you very much.
yeah,
No problem.
for not just sitting in the seat, but actually participating
Mhm.
and being a valued council member. I think we'll miss seeing you at the council.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Nobody else is leaving, you're not leaving yet. You're here for another
Apparently I
one.
won one.
You've
meeting.
trapped me for one more.
You tried again.
You sick that day?
I'll be fine, thank you. Although, I don't know, I might be on holidays, but.
With all these travel.
Well, I'm on the road for July and August, that's all I know.
Yeah.
That bridge opens up, I'm gonzo. So I may be,
There you
You
go.
may be gone.
No, maybe not.
We will be sad.
but that's not my plan.
Okay.
The next meeting is scheduled for
It'll be like
Tuesday,
July.
23,
20.
the 13th?
13th.
July 13th? 1, 2, 3, sorry, 20th.
20th. Yeah, it'll be the 20th.
20th, yeah.
It's not, it looks like the
July 20th.
my meeting request may have ended. So I will send a new one. It's not on my calendar.
Oh, it's in.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it was in my calendar.
Really?
Maybe I put it in myself, which is odd. I'm not that organized. So.
Yeah, it's not showing on mine, so I'll take, I'll look.
I don't trust myself to put things that I rely on people.
That's the one thing I did do, is I try to put everything, I've missed
Can I hire
one
you?
or two meetings, like critical meetings, and ever since then, I've really.
I appreciate that you do that.
We do, isn't it, like, I mean, it might just be coffee, but it's just like,
Does the 20th seem okay to?
We can always do a quick
for now?
virtual meeting. Like if that's.
Yeah, maybe we can also, yeah. I mean, I can't remember what we did last year, but did we meet both summer month, like July and August? Like, maybe it's a chance to.
I think we did
not
last
maybe
year, but that was
July.
coming off a number of months of not meeting.
Okay.
But we could
Yeah.
certainly.
that's
something
right,
to think
because we
about,
had, that was COVID, right?
re-energize and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, why don't we plan to do like, what if, or I'll propose, what if we plan to do like a quick virtual meeting on the 20th? Just because applications will be open and
Yeah.
da-da-da-da, and then maybe not do a August one while everything goes through the process of getting new members in?
Sure.
How does that sound?
Yep.
And at that July 20th, we can,
It's like we can skip talking about policy updates and stuff like that.
yeah, maybe just make sure that any wrap-ups are complete, especially for the
Yeah.
exiting folks.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just make sure that we've had that conversation about,
Yeah, and then if you guys are wanting to prepare stuff for the polls and da-da-da-da, we
Yeah,
can check in
okay,
on that. Like
yeah.
if there's stuff we want to get the ball rolling on earlier,
Yeah,
that we certainly can,
absolutely.
but you know, just reach out to me or we can chat. But I'd like a bit of a check-in about that.
awesome. Okay. Great.
Anything else? And a motion to adjourn today's meeting? Tony moved. Some say we don't need a seconder, some say we do, I don't.
It's, never hurts to have one.
Okay, let's.
Your last, did you get last?
Morgan said-
Morgan.
Murchison.
Morgan Michael Murchison, nice. Write that in there.
All
Work
right,
up
we
and
are
down,
adjourned
girl.
then?
We are-
Yeah, all right.